Today, we're going to talk about and focus on how to approach others and confidently strike up conversations with new people. We often feel self-conscious engaging a stranger in small talk, but keep this in mind. Most people are feeling just as shy and just as self-conscious as you are. It's actually a great relief when someone takes the initiative to talk to them, saving them from standing alone by the punch bowl while they feel awkward and conspicuous. People love to talk, especially about themselves, and are typically flattered when someone pays attention to them. Look for someone who seems approachable, who's by him or herself, and isn't talking to someone or doing something else. Make eye contact. Smile at them, but not creepily, and then go up to greet them. But what then? Anyone who's had their small talk disintegrate after an exchange of, "So, what do you do?" may worry that their attempt to initiate conversation will fizzle into awkwardness. But when you know what you're doing, you can sail right over any potential slumps. Communications expert Dr. Carol Fleming offers a three-part process to kick off a conversation called the R method. R stands for anchor, reveal, and encourage. The first step is anchor. This is an observation on your mutual shared reality with the other person. It's the first thread of connection between you and the other person. It's the lightest of pleasantries about something you're both seeing or experiencing.
Dr. Landis is hilarious.
Don't get caught up thinking that such comments are too superficial and search in vain for something truly clever to say. Fleming calls these exchanges friendly noises. And you and the other person you're talking to both know they're not meaningful, but just a gradual and polite way to segue into real conversation. Next, reveal something about yourself that is related to your anchor.
I've been trying to get into his class for like 3 months, but this is the first time I've actually been able to get into it.
By opening up a little more, we extend to the other person a few more threads of connection and trust, while at the same time providing them fodder to which to respond. Finally, encourage. Now you hand off the ball to them by asking a question.
Have you had any trouble getting into his class?
Once you got the ball rolling, offer follow-up questions and comments to keep the conversation going. Strike a balance. Too many questions fired one right after the other will make the conversation feel more like an interrogation, and too many comments won't give the other person a chance to talk.
Dr. Landis is hilarious. I've been trying to get into his class for like 3 months, but this is the first time I've actually been able to get into it. Have you had any trouble getting into his class?
I actually sat in his class for a couple classes, just, hoping someone would drop out, and then eventually someone did, so I got added in.
Now I'm starting to think that maybe you're responsible for their disappearance.
Oh, for sure. No, I mean, people dropped out, so.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's really hard to get in those classes. People are dying to get in his class.
Are you taking the class for your major, or are you just like interested in it?
I was just interested in it because I hear he's funny.
As you keep the conversation going, lean a little more towards asking questions than offering comments. Being curious about someone else is a big part of what endears them to you. Start with questions that can be answered with 1 or 2 words, and then build on those to expand into open-ended questions that won't put them in the spot, but will allow the person to reveal more or less about themselves. Use questions that begin with phrases like,
"Tell me about what was the best part of how did you feel about? So what brought you to? What surprised you most? How similar is that to? Why?"
Here are some tips if you have trouble coming up with questions when approaching someone or continuing a conversation you've already started. Some of the easiest and best questions simply come from observing people and your surroundings.
I noticed you have a wedding ring. What do you like about being married? I noticed your ears were pierced. Did that hurt? I noticed you have blonde hair. Do you come from Swedish descent? I noticed earlier you had an iPhone. Was there a reason you chose that over an Android? I noticed there's no grilling meats at this pool party. Are you vegetarian?
You can start a conversation by building on something someone else said that wasn't directly addressed to you, but you were privy to. For example, in smaller classes in college, sometimes the professor will have everyone introduce themselves on the first day of class. If there's someone in the class you'd like to get to know more, you can later start a conversation by saying something like,
So I hear you're from Colorado. That's awesome. I have an aunt up there.
a good way to kick off some small talk is to tie a compliment and a question together.
"Oh wow, that's a really nice ring. Did your husband design that? Oh, I love these festive little cups. Where'd you get these? This party really came together. Did you organize it yourself?"
Now let's do a quick recap. First, remember the R method. Anchor, reveal, encourage. Second, keep the conversation going with interesting comments and open-ended questions. Third, if you have trouble thinking of questions to ask, observe the person and their surroundings, listen to what they say or other people say about them,